Hey everyone, it's Laura Myers for CMS-Connected. Touted is one of the best kept secrets in e-commerce. Episerver has done a lot in the last year to emerge from that secrecy and charge ahead in this space, influencing over $18 billion in omnichannel revenue worldwide. I would say a main reason why they have experienced this success is by leveraging their long-standing prowess in the content management space with a fresh perspective on commerce and digital marketing. Here with me to discuss not only Episerver Commerce, but also strategies for success in that realm, I have Episerver's commerce strategist, Ed Kennedy. Hello, Ed. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So let's start by discussing the shortfall in personalized shopping. Is it fair to put all the blame on retailers, or do you think shoppers are also protective of their personal information required to better personalize their shopping?
It's a good question around whether we need more customer data from what customers are actually doing on retailers or consumer brand sites. Yes, I think consumers that want personalization are starting to understand they have to give up some information. Many standards around cookie detection on what you're doing on an e-commerce website is now pretty standard, and consumers accept it. But retailers can do a lot by just tracking what behavior visitors are doing on their site without actually having to explicitly ask for that data. A lot of the valuable data is what you get given to you by a consumer when they fill out a form or sign up to create an account. But there's still so many data points that we can just track of what a consumer is doing on an e-commerce website to help personalize the experience.
Do you think there's a way that merchandisers could motivate their visitors to share more information?
Yes, there is a way. It's called progressive profiling, and it's a strategy that a lot of retailers and brands are using to incrementally add customer data to that customer profile. So throughout certain parts of the shopping experience, not asking a consumer to fill out a form with 15 fields, but asking just one at a time as you continue to build out a more complete profile is a way for you to collect more data when someone is checking out, to ask an identifiable piece of information about that consumer, whether they have certain shopping preferences, when their birth date is. These are all pieces of customer information that help with personalization. But if you can just ask one at a time, you start to build out a more complete profile as the consumer engages with the site.
And I imagine they'd be much more willing to give up that information if it was just one at a time as opposed to a lengthy form.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of retailers and companies are using reviews as a way to capture that data. So when a purchase is made and the customer's happy and they're willing to write a review, oftentimes you're getting a double benefit there. You're not only posting a review of a product onto the page that helps with other purchases, but it also allows you an opportunity to capture more data about that customer. So there's strategies where you can, when the customers engage, ask for more information, and it's in a setting where the consumer is not as resistant to it.
That is such valuable insight, Ed. Not only would the review be of value for future purchases, as you mentioned, but it's a way of optimizing the customer's engagement to then better their personalization experience with a brand overall. Sticking with personalized experiences, we know they're not limited to the online store. So what are some best practices as you see them for off-site personalization?
So certainly with the customers that we work with, the biggest channels are going to be search and email. So how do you create connections between those two channels and the website that are personalized based off of the data that you can gather about that user's journey? So one best practice in search is personalizing the landing page or banner or text that the site has based on the search keyword that the consumer put in. That's basic personalization that's on the site, but you can also use that in reverse. You can take behavior data of what the consumer's done on the website and use that in an ad when you're doing remarketing. So there's opportunities to take that data out of a platform like Episerver and use it in personalization in banner ads. And then the most important one is going to be email. When you've captured a consumer's email address and you're doing email marketing to them, injecting personalized product recommendations into those emails injecting personalized articles, content based off of behavior that you've captured about what they did on the site leads to higher click-through rates and ultimately higher engagement and conversions when they do come back to the site.
I know as a consumer, email content from a brand can really make or break my engagement with them. So using the strategy you mentioned could undoubtedly up the ROI of an email campaign if a brand is utilizing customer data to thoroughly personalize that channel with their customer. I actually really liked one of your recent articles that you divided personalization into multiple tiers by using a crawl, walk, run, sprint analogy. What are the requirements as you see them to move from one tier to another?
Yeah, I tried to create just a way to think about progressing through personalization. In reality, companies should and can use all three of the approaches, whether they're optimizing the experience based off of the device that the user is coming from, which is the basic walk experience, or using rules to personalize the content or personalize the information they see, or using machine learning algorithms to create dynamic product recommendations that are based on machine learning. All of those are low-hanging fruit. Rule-based is probably the one that takes the most effort because you've got to understand your personas. You've got to understand what the buying journey is of your user and then create visitor segments in your platform that personalize the content based off of those personas. And those are usually data elements that you need to capture from the consumer that aren't just what page they visited or what search keyword they had. You've actually got to collect and ask for that information. So rule-based personalization is probably one of the more cumbersome efforts. But when you start doing machine learning, that could be as simple as dropping some code onto your product detail page and immediately starting to make more intelligent product recommendations to the consumer.
Sort of varying degrees of effort, but it's a great way to break it down. I'm interested to hear your thoughts actually on the pros and cons of deploying standalone CMS commerce platforms, having one or the other be headless or unified into one platform.
I don't know if there's really a commercial benefit to having standalone CMS and commerce platforms anymore. There's probably, except for if you installed and invested a lot of time in, that's where a headless CMS or commerce platform, depending on what system you've put in place, could be beneficial from a time to market standpoint. It's still going to lead to some broken user journeys or take more time and effort to get those user journeys to look really continuous and have a high continuity across devices. And when you're serving something from a CMS or you're serving something from a commerce platform. So most customers that are launching on big digital transformation projects, they're replacing everything. They're looking at their CMS, they're looking at their commerce platform, or looking at both and trying to find something that can deliver everything to them all at once.
That's fantastic. You've addressed some complex questions very concisely, as always, Ed, so thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. That was Ed Kennedy, Commerce Strategist at Episerver, discussing their platform as well as how organizations can achieve and optimize personalization. E-commerce is a hot topic for us, so if you love it as much as we do, we'll keep those interests satisfied here at CMS-Connected.